I never imagined my marriage would end in such a storm of betrayal. For 15 years, I believed my husband, Daniel, and I were building a life together, brick by brick, dream by dream. We had 2 children, a house in the suburbs, and what seemed to everyone else like the perfect marriage. But perfection, I would learn, was only a mask hiding secrets I was never meant to uncover. It began with little things. Daniel, who once rushed home after work to have dinner with us, started staying late at the office. He claimed it was for urgent projects, but when I asked questions, he grew defensive. His phone, once left casually on the nightstand, was now glued to his side, even when he showered. He had excuses, always reasonable, always polished, but something in my gut whispered otherwise. I pushed the doubts away at first. I wanted to believe in the vows we exchanged, in the love I thought we shared. But the lies piled up, and soon the whispers became screams I couldn't ignore. One Friday evening, when Daniel said he was working late again, I drove to his office with dinner in hand. I wanted to surprise him. What I found instead was the beginning of my heartbreak. His car wasn't in the lot. His office was dark. And just as I was about to leave, a text notification lit up his phone, which he had carelessly left in my car earlier that day. The message read, "I can't wait for tonight. Meet me at the hotel. Same room as last week." My hands trembled as I scrolled through the thread. Dozens of messages, photos, plans, all with her, our neighbor Melissa, the woman who smiled at me over coffee, who babysat our children, who stood in our living room on Christmas Eve drinking my wine and laughing with my husband. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. My husband and my friend. Together, I wanted to scream, to destroy something. But instead, I swallowed my rage and began to plan. Revenge would be my justice, and I would not strike in anger. I would strike with precision. Over the next few weeks, I gathered evidence quietly. Screenshots of texts, photos of their rendezvous. I hired a private investigator who gave me undeniable proof of their affair. Every document, every image, every lie exposed. And while they thought they were clever, I was already building my case. But I didn't stop there. I remember the countless nights I sacrificed for Daniel's career, the years I put my dreams on hold so he could climb his corporate ladder. And now I discovered he had not only betrayed me, but he had also siphoned money from our joint account into one he shared with Melissa. My rage hardened into resolve. I filed for divorce, but not before ensuring the court would see every detail of the betrayal. My lawyer was relentless, armed with the mountain of evidence I had collected. The day Daniel was served, his face drained of color. He knew he was cornered. But my revenge wasn't just legal. I wanted him to feel the humiliation I had felt, the burning shame of being lied to. So I waited for the perfect moment. It came during our neighborhood's annual barbecue, a gathering Melissa always attended. With calm composure, I stood before our friends and neighbors, holding a glass of wine, and announced, "I just want to thank everyone for being part of our community. It's hard to go through tough times, but at least I know who my real friends are, unlike some people who sleep with their neighbor's husband." Gasps filled the air. All eyes turned to Daniel and Melissa, who stood frozen, their guilty faces betraying them more than any words could. Melissa's husband, who had been suspicious but never had proof, stormed out that night and filed for divorce as well. The fallout was catastrophic for them. Daniel's reputation at work crumbled when his affair became gossip in the office. Melissa was forced to move away after her own marriage collapsed. And as for me, I walked away not as a victim, but as a survivor. The divorce settlement granted me the house, full custody of our children, and a financial payout that secured our future. Daniel, stripped of dignity and fortune, was left to face the consequences of his betrayal alone. Revenge didn't erase the pain, but it gave me something else. Justice. He took my trust, my years, my faith, but I took back my power. And every time I look at my children, every time I see them safe, happy, and free from the lies he wove around us, I know I chose the right path. Because sometimes the sweetest justice isn't in forgiveness. It's in making sure the betrayer is left with nothing but the ruins of the life they tried to destroy. The night of the barbecue was only the beginning. Public humiliation had been satisfying. Watching Daniel's face collapse into shock watching Melissa tremble as whispers rippled to the crowd. But when the guests went home and the night was quiet, I felt the weight of everything settle over me. Revenge doesn't erase the ache of betrayal. It only dulls it, reshapes it. Lying in my bed alone, I replayed every moment of my marriage like scenes from film. His hand in mine at our wedding. The promises he whispered when our children were born. The nights he kissed my forehead and told me he loved me. How many of those moments were real? And how many were performed while his heart belonged to someone else? I couldn't stop asking myself, was I not enough? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't the one lacking. He was a liar, the cheat, the coward who couldn't face his own emptiness without destroying others. That realization was the steel I needed to keep moving forward. A week later, I received the final report from the private investigator I had hired, a grizzled man named Carl who had a habit of chewing toothpicks while he talked. He handed me the thick folder, heavy with photographs and typed notes. "You've got everything you need here," Carl said, sliding the folder across the cafe table. Hotel receipts, surveillance photos, timestamps. They weren't even careful. I opened the folder and felt my stomach twist. There they were, Daniel and Melissa, entering a hotel together, holding hands, smiling like teenagers. Another photo showed them kissing in the parking lot. My vision blurred as tears filled my eyes, but I forced myself to keep looking. "I need to see this," I whispered. "Every bit of it. I need to burn the image of their betrayal into my mind, so I never forget what he really is." Carl studied me quietly, then said, "Most people I work for, they break when they see this. You look like you're just getting started." He wasn't wrong. I thought about confronting Daniel directly, about throwing the folder in his face and demanding the truth. But then I pictured him lying, spinning stories, gaslighting me into questioning my own sanity. He was good at that. Too good. Instead, I decided he didn't deserve the dignity of a confrontation. No. My revenge would come in silence, in carefully calculated steps that would tear down everything he thought he controlled. When I sat down across from my lawyer, Ms. Patel, a sharp-eyed woman with an iron spine, I felt the first taste of power returning to me. "We're not just going for divorce," she said firmly, flipping to the evidence I provided. "We're going for everything. You've sacrificed your career for the family. You've raised the kids. And he's been funneling money into a separate account with this woman?" Her lips curled in disgust. "Yes," I said, my voice steady. "And I want to make sure when this is over, he regrets underestimating me." She leaned forward. "Then we'll make sure he pays. Literally and figuratively." What broke me most wasn't Daniel's betrayal of me. It was his betrayal of our children. He had been missing soccer games, skipping piano recitals, always with the excuse of work. Meanwhile, he was at some hotel, holding another woman while his daughter waited for him in the audience. One night, our son Ethan asked me, "Mom, why doesn't Dad come home for dinner anymore?" I froze, my heart aching. "Daddy's busy with work, sweetheart," I said, forcing a smile. But inside, I vowed never to let my children grow up believing they were second to anyone. They deserved better than him. Better than lies. Weeks later, the divorce papers were filed, and Daniel's mask cracked. He stormed into the house, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. "How dare you blindside me like this?" he shouted, his face twisted with rage. I stood in the living room, calm, my hands folded in front of me. "How dare I? You cheated on me with our neighbor for over a year, Daniel. You don't get to play the victim." His eyes widened. "You!" He stopped, realizing I had proof. His jaw clenched. "This is going to ruin me." I tilted my head. Good. That was the point. For once, he had no comeback. The court process dragged on, but in the end, justice leaned in my favor. The judge granted me the house, child custody, and a large share of his assets. Daniel sat in silence during the hearing, his eyes dark, his lawyer defeated. When the gavel struck, it was as if a chain had been broken inside me. I walked out of that courtroom lighter, freer, stronger. Melissa's life crumbled too. Her husband divorced her. Her reputation in the neighborhood was ruined, and she quietly moved away. leaving behind whispers and contempt. As for Daniel, he moved into a small apartment, a shadow of the man he once pretended to be. Every time I saw him pick up the kids for his visitation weekends, I could see it in his eyes, the regret, the humiliation. And though part of me still hurt, another part of me smiled. Months later, I sat on the porch one evening, watching Ethan and Lily play in the yard. The sunset bathed everything in gold, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. My life wasn't destroyed. It was rebuilt. Revenge had given me justice. Justice had given me closure. And closure had given me the strength to start over. Not as someone's wife, not as someone's victim, but as myself. Daniel once thought he could cheat and move on without consequences. But now, every time he looks at what he's lost, he's reminded of one truth. You don't betray a loyal heart without paying the price.